Good morning. Thank you for joining our Coffee and Conversation Cats and Kittens webinar with Sam, Associate Director of Community Operations, Anna, Animal Field Agent, Haley, Community Cat Field Agent, and Jules, Community Dispatch Coordinator. My name is Jessica, and I am the Senior Development Officer here at ARL. Before we launch into today's programming, I would like to thank our generous donors, volunteers, leadership circle, and board members. We couldn't do this important work without you. Today we'll discuss ARL's Community Cat Program updates, kitten season, and how to help community cats. Now I'd like to pass the mic to Sam, who will moderate today's panel. The Zoom room is yours, Sam. Take it away.
Thank you so much, Jessica, and thank you everyone for joining us here today. We're so excited to talk about community cats and all of the work that we have been doing this year and last year. First off, Jules, our Community Dispatch Coordinator, are you able to provide a quick overview of the Community Cat Program for everyone?
Sure. So it is a program designed to help reduce the population of all the outdoor cats. Community cats is a much kinder, gentler way of what we used to call ferals. Because so many of these cats, while not specifically owned, are cared for in the community and by community members. Our program specifically intends to work with those cats, outdoor cats, that are just booming in population and need a little help kind of controlling the numbers. Yeah, we have Haley as our community cat coordinator, and she will go out in the field and she will hear from people who are feeding cats and know there is a population that is not spayed or neutered. The concept of trap, neuter, return, or TNR, has been widely adapted by many animal welfare agencies. And we go out, we work with our feeder, which is our best option, to trap the cats, bring them in, spay, neuter, vaccinate, do all the good stuff. And if they are determined to be absolutely non-sociable, they will return to their home neighborhood where they know they have their shelter, their food source, and their community around them. If not, and if they show signs of socialization, we definitely would much prefer to place them in homes. So oftentimes some of these cats were pets at one time and can adapt to home life again.
Thank you so much. And Anna, about how many animals do we take in each year through this program?
Absolutely. So ARL started our Community Cats Initiative back in 2017. During our first year, we took in about 660 community cats. Throughout the years of 2017, 18, 19, and 2020, we were taking between 500 to 600 cats. This year, we're really happy to say that we have taken in already 877 community cats. We've assessed 454 colony cats in 50 colonies themselves. It's really exciting because we're having a wonderful outcome as well with having 142 what we like to call tiny tigers adopted. Those are our little feisty kittens who are learning the beautiful life they can actually have inside with us. And we've done about 250 TNR surgeries. So that is spaying and neutering the cats that are going to go back outside. That number does not include all of the cats that have stayed with us and gotten adopted and gone into wonderful homes.
That's great. Thank you. Haley, can you speak to some factors that have contributed to this growth from 2017 all the way to 2020 booming?
Yeah, so there's a myriad of factors. In general, climate change has made warm weather stretch further and further, which means there are much longer times where cats are fertile and breeding. And also we have expanded quite a bit in Massachusetts, especially down in Fall River. I have been trapping virtually nonstop. Fall River is inundated with cats. So I think it's a combination of general environment and the fact that we have very much expanded this program into very large communities.
That's great. And you said we just moved into Fall River. Can you speak a little bit to your success moving into this brand new place and being able to trap and help so many cats and people?
Well, Fall River kind of was a hit the ground running thing. The first time I went there, I spoke to all of the animal control officers who very happily took my my information, and whenever they have a cat problem, they just send the info over to me. If for some reason I can't handle it, I send it back to them. But for the most part, they are colonies. And I have over 100 colonies there right now, just because they just continue, they do the work for me and finding them. People call in about them and they immediately send it to me. The other thing would be I have made quite a few friendships down there, people who will take in or help me pick up traps, watch traps, all sorts of things down there. And that really frees up a lot of time so I can reach even more locations.
That's fantastic. So Jessica mentioned kitten season. Jules, can you tell us what kitten season is and what kind of calls you typically get during the kitten season year, or maybe not season anymore, as Haley alluded to?
Yeah. Definitely. Well, just like the wild world, the spring is abundant with babies. So definitely we have a peak season beginning usually about mid-spring to late spring and running very heavily through to the fall. And as Haley mentioned, the fall kittens are becoming more abundant. Abundant. We every morning I come in, I'm fielding calls about a mama cat and new kittens. And oftentimes the mama cat has never even been seen before. So people are not anticipating this. They're not even recognizing what's going on until the little babies emerge from their little nest den. So it's a scramble. We get pretty much every kitten we go for. Mom is a challenge, but we really want to get mom every time we go out for a litter of kittens as well. So there you go. They are, as Haley said, they are producing throughout the year now, but there is still this heavy wave that begins in late spring.
So during times where we have kitten season or more kittens in the spring, Anna, how does the team balance helping both kittens and those adult cats colonies during the spring and summer months?
Absolutely. So we're very lucky to have Jules taking in all of these calls and basically, telling us what needs to happen first. If there are any emergencies, we absolutely, if we're able to, scoop in all of these cats and kittens, mom and kittens when they're still young. Of course, that's the easiest time usually to take them because you can kind of pick them up like flowers. Mom is very, very attentive to them at that age as well. So she'll become more eager to kind of get near to the kittens. That can help us trap her so that we can get the whole entire family. Sometimes the kittens are old enough that mom's not hanging around them as much anymore. We still want to get them. We still want to get all of the adults as well, though, because we want to stop all of these kittens from, occurring every single year. So being able to take care of all of the adult cats as well is very important because it is those adult intact males and females that are, hanging out, and then they're the ones that are producing all of these kittens. So quite often we might feel inundated with all of the kitten calls. We do still want to be able to get to our adult calls. And sometimes that's just making sure we have a set schedule throughout the day so that we're not only paying attention to these, little guys running around, but also the adults that are still breeding.
That sounds like quite the balancing act.
It is.
And so not to contribute to the work of the team, but Jules, how can the people at home help community cats if they see them that may be in their neighborhood, especially if they may not be visible, but we know that most likely there are cats living in most neighborhoods?
Yeah, pretty much anywhere there are community cats, there is going to be a feeder somewhere nearby, someone they rely on. As I mentioned before, these are community members, while even often unable to touch the cats, care a great deal about them. making those folks aware of our Community Cats program will absolutely help the mission. In addition to, if you happen to find those feeders, we also have flyers that we will post in places to help people, make them aware of our program, specializing in helping the breeding situation, reducing the population of more kittens.
That's great. Thank you. So if people want to get involved, how can they help? Anna?
Absolutely. So we would love any involvement, whether that means you just have some extra cat food on hand that you'd like to donate, or perhaps in your town, you may not live very close to us. We are happy to come out. Haley goes all the way to Fall River. I'm luckier, I stay close to Boston, but we're more than happy from having you just call in and acknowledging the cats that are around, maybe spreading our information and the work that we do. If you'd love to come in and volunteer, we're not going to stop you. All hands on deck is always the best thing that we can have, from cat food to sharing information to coming in and volunteering. If you'd like, we can have help from just cleaning to feeding and even trying to get you out on the road as well.
Great, thank you. Haley, are there opportunities to learn more about community cats and the ways that individuals can help them in ARL?
Oh, there sure are. If you start with the volunteering, as Anna mentioned, then we would like to eventually move you up to taking care of the feral cats that I bring in. Branching from that, I would love to have some help with, picking up traps, learning how to set traps, that sort of thing. I will be making up an info session on more in-depth ways to assist the community cat program, and that should be up on July 20th. Pardon me. So if you want to join that, it'll be on Zoom meeting rather. And if you want to join, please do. It'll also be recorded, so if you can't join, just ask for it later.
And we'll be able to share more information about that info session that's happening next month. Oh, so we have a few questions, which is fantastic. There's a question: do you have a barn cat program or working cat program for community cats that may not be adoptable? Anna, since you previously worked with shelter, can you speak a little bit about our working cat program?
Absolutely. We are extremely happy that we have our working cat program. These are cats that came from the community, so they got brought in through our TNR program. Perhaps they are not able to go back to where they came from for whatever reason, and they're not completely ready to be that indoor pet cat that so many people are looking for. We're very lucky that there is a decent amount of people out there that are looking for what we call a working cat. That can be a cat that's in your barn. Some people at their warehouse where they work. We've had a cat go to a brewery. And now these are the cats that they have some social behaviors potentially, but they're not ready to be that social pet cat yet. So they're going into an environment where they will be around people, but they also have the freedom to run about and, yes, hunt all those little mice that keep crawling around these barns, warehouses, in the brewery that we sent a cat to. So it's not every cat that gets brought in gets put into our working cat program, but it's something that we're definitely happy to provide. And we're happy to have anyone come to us looking for these cats as well. Sometimes we don't have a cat right then and there if somebody does come forward looking for one, but we can put you on a little list so that when we do get a cat that might be the correct fit for you, we can go through that process. And so instead of adopting said cat as a pet to be inside of your home, you're adopting this cat to come into whatever the working cat scenario may be. Say it is your own barn that you have at home. So this cat would be still taken care of, nice and safe, has a home, but still has the freedom that it may be looking for.
That's great. Thank you. And how much pushback do you get from the bird loving community? Jules, do you want to take that one?
Not really at all, honestly. I have not ever fielded a call where someone was actually accusing us of, maintaining the cat population. These are often folks that have the wrong idea about what it is that we are doing often. But, Yeah, no, nothing really at all, surprisingly.
In the field, I want to just jump in the
Yes.
field. I do have quite a few people saying, like, I have, that they're killing all my birds. I have these bird feeders and da, 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 da. And so there is on the individual level that frustration that, they want to feed the birds and they are instead feeding birds to cats. So in a lot of cases, I would show them how to keep cats away from their bird feeders. There are a myriad of ways. And in the end, I have to explain, vacuum theory and all sorts of things. Like if I just took all the cats away, you'll just get more. So, and most people are like, yeah, I guess that's true. We'll have to like modify a little bit. But as Jules said, not a ton of rage concerning birds.
That's great. And what do we do if we can't find mom? Helen, do you want to take that?
Oh, sure.
Since you do that so much.
It really depends on the situation. If the kittens are, it depends on a lot of different factors, actually. If the kittens are teeny tiny babies, like days old, and they haven't been touched yet, I would say don't touch them in the slightest. They wait for mom to show up. I will set a trap for mom. Always want to get mama before we get the babies because, bottle babies are just so difficult to take care of, especially that young. If the babies have been already touched and moved, the possibility of, if you put them back, then mom will just grab them and bring them somewhere else and you'll never see them again. So if they have already been picked up, which people are well-meaning and they want to help, they'll pick them up and bring them inside, and then I kind of have to take them. If the kittens are running around and eating, then I have no problem picking up kittens without mom. But like Anna said before, we always want to get mom because she's the one who's producing all these things. So if we can grab her, even if she's feral, if we can just get rid of her ability to give birth in the future, then we will no longer have that problem, or they will no longer have that problem in that particular location. So yeah, there's a lot of different factors as to, do we pick up mom first or do we pick up babies first and leave? Are they in a safe location? Are they in danger? Just on and on and on.
Thanks so much.
Yeah.
And the next question is, do most of the cats and kittens that are trapped get adopted into homes? Anna, since you have the stats in front of you, would you like to share what percentage or approximately how many cats get adopted out of the intake?
Absolutely. So I do have a little cheat sheet with me. I am extremely happy to say that each year since we have started this, all the way back until 2017, each year more cats get adopted rather than getting returned to field, which is fantastic. That does include kittens and adults. This year in particular, 2021, well, it's 22, but last year, 2021, excuse me, we had 504 cats get adopted. That included the 142 that I mentioned earlier that were kittens. We did have a number that went back out to field. That is always going to happen because we do have those cats that have no interest in going into a home. But as we said before, we are returning these cats to dedicated people that are taking care of them. We now know that we are not going to be producing more kittens through these cats that we're returning, but each year we do have more cats that are adopted than returned. But again, we're not just returning these cats, kind of willy-nilly. We're making sure that they have a safe place to go back to.
That's great. Thank you. And Priscilla asked, would you discourage people from feeding the cats to begin with? Jules, do you want to take that one with your calls of many people?
Yeah, that's a tough one. I mean, it depends on whether they are considering the cats a nuisance or actually really want to help. It is not a bad thing to feed the cats. If the cats are hungry, and especially if you have mama cats who are nursing, it's important to feed for a couple of reasons. One would be just to keep them around so we can come get them. You also try to put them on a schedule, because while cats are really a domesticated animal, even if they are particularly not socialized, boy, cats have a daily agenda and they stick to it. So you can pretty much count on a feeding time to be there and trap. Just ran out of my head. The other reason really being the outdoor cats need as much care as any cats do. They need help, and if you're willing to help them, that is perfectly fine. We do not discourage that. We don't discourage community members for helping these cats. We still like to get to all of them, and we'd prefer to work with that feeder, but unless you're willing to have the cats around, definitely do not feed. They will find a food source somewhere. There are a lot of people out there that are willing to help them. So I hope that makes sense on both sides of that. But caring for them is never discouraged.
That's great. Thank you. It sounds like it's a very individual one-on-one conversation with what people are looking to get out of the cats around them. And do we have a network of bottle baby fosters? It is bottle baby season. So Haley, would you like to speak briefly about our foster care program?
Yeah, so we do have quite the network. The only issue is there are very few people who, not very few, there are relatively few people who are capable of feeding a bottle baby pretty much every hour throughout the entire day and night, 24 hours a day for 4 weeks, or 3 weeks or whatever it takes for them to get onto regular food. So yes, we have quite the network of feeders, foster parents, and quite a few people who are capable of doing it, but it can be tough to find them, especially usually bottle babies are like last minute. I rarely know when I'm going to be picking up bottle babies. So it can be tough, especially if I know it ahead of time, then I can let Sam know, who will let all the shelters know, hey, we have a bottle baby coming in later today, to start looking for a foster right now. But sometimes I have had literally people stop me on the side of the road and say, hey, can you take these kittens? And then we have to scramble. So if we have enough time, sure. If they have enough time to find one, sure. But last minute can be a little tough.
So we have a great network. We're always
Yes.
looking for more.
Yes.
And we do bottle baby foster orientation through the volunteer department pretty routinely, especially this time of year. What is our biggest need when it is kitten season? Anna, you want to take that one?
Sure. On top of all of you eager folks signing up to be fosters, what do we need for kitten season? We need cat food. We just need cat food. It can be surprisingly difficult at times, especially just when we have so many cats in and around the places that we're trapping. There are alone around 70,000 community cats in Boston, 700,000 throughout the state. And so there are a lot of cats to feed. And especially when we're trapping, the way that we trap these cats is by putting food inside of our cat traps. And then that's, what makes them interested in the trap. That's what makes them want to go inside of the trap. And sometimes we go out and we set our traps and we don't get anyone biting, so to say. And so then there goes that food. So we go through cat food quite regularly and quite quickly. Wet food is our preference. Dry food is also extremely helpful though. So this can help us. We can help our feeders with cat food because then they're able to supply the cats with cat food. So we're getting them on that schedule that Jules was talking about so that we know when they're coming out for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. So absolutely cat food is a huge plus for us. But then also if you have any, cat toys or anything for the cats that stay in the shelter and are waiting to get adopted, that's also very useful. So cat food, kitten food, anything that we can use, our foster parents can use, and our feeders and caretakers of the community cats.
Great, thank you. On that vein, Kim asked if we'd be open to working with a local alternative to Chewy. I apologize if I misinterpret this question, so please feel free to clarify. We're very lucky that Chewy does make donations to all 4 of our organizations through gift certificates or individuals helping through us. We also have an Amazon wish list that we post all of our food to, but we are open to any sources of pet food. The one thing that we have found oftentimes is some stores will try to give us expired food, which sometimes we can use for feral cats, but community cats, I apologize, but we typically don't, just because we want to make sure we're giving the same quality of food to all of the cats and the animals that we're caring for. And especially we won't give expired food to any of the animals that are in our care. And we often get requests for dog food donations over cat. So that's kind of the one thing that we'll find, but we're always open to donations from all different sources, especially of cat food and especially of like the cheap cat food, right?
Yes.
We love the stuff that most people will say is kind of lower quality and not the fancy foods, because that's what our cats, when we're trapping, they tend to love those kinds of foods. The smellier the better most of the time.
If you think it smells bad, they think it smells great.
And so what kinds of food or supplies can be donated to our fosters?
KMR.
Yeah, Haley, you want to cover that one?
Oh, I was just going to say, KMR, the kitten milk substitute, would be fantastic. We always have a little bit stored away, but there's always that one bottle baby that shows up late at night and we're like, oh, where's the milk? So KMR especially, we do have the heating discs for them, but hey, if you want to get us more, please do. She did mention cat food, kitten food, especially because kitten food is much higher in protein and is much better for kittens, obviously, than adult cat food. So, and sometimes we kind of run dry on kitten food. So that would wet food, excuse me. So that would be great.
You'll also find bags of cat food that will be called mama and baby. And that is like extra baby food. It's more than just your regular kitten food that you would find. And that's fantastic because it really is. It's just the higher in the proteins and whatnot that they need. So you'll find that, I believe it might be Royal Canin, but there are different forms of it out there. But we'll never say no to any type of cat food or kitten food.
Really tiny little nuggets. The dry food has really tiny nuggets. So which is great for kittens that are just starting out on dry food. So yes.
Yes, teaching kittens to eat food, you go through a lot of kitten food.
Yes.
Figuring that out. So I think we have time for one more question. I'm trying to look through to see which is the best one, but we're happy to answer any questions that come after the fact, and we're happy to talk to anybody offline if they have any specific questions. How long does it typically take to trap a cat or kitten? Anna and Haley, do you want to speak to that together?
2 seconds to how many years? And I know the cat that Haley's going to touch on, but we have had the ones that are, you put down the trap, you turn around, and the time that you've walked maybe 10 feet, ding, ding, you hear the cats in the trap. So there are some that are just really hungry and don't, think anything of those weird bars that are around them, and they'll go in the trap very easily, especially sometimes those can be the ones that are very friendly with their feeders. Kittens, they don't know any better. They can be quite easy. Sometimes it's the adults that can take some time. I'll let Haley take on this one though.
When you first go to a colony, they've never seen a trap before. They've never seen you before. So they are much more likely to go in very, very quickly. So, but as you progress, cats aren't stupid necessarily. So they are watching all of their family members go in these traps and then disappear. So they start getting very wary. And usually there's at least 2 or 3 at the very end, depending on how many are in the colony, that will not go in the trap. And you have to really start, busting out the different methods and the more complicated ways to trick them into maybe stepping a little further into that thing or whatnot. There are also cats that have been trapped before and then released before you got there, and they are trap savvy and they're just like, I'm not going back in there. I know what happens. She mentioned I would touch upon one cat. Yes, I spent 4 years trying to catch that one cat, and I finally caught her about a month ago, 2 months ago, with her babies, not via trap, but by hand, basically. So yeah, like she said, anywhere between like a couple seconds to many years. It's always different.
Well, that's great. Thank you, Haley, Jules, and Anna, for taking the time out of your busy schedules to come and talk to us. And thank you so much for all of you to listen to us. Clearly, we like talking about cats, especially community cats. And we're always happy to field any questions or talk to anybody in the future. And so thank you so much. And I'm going to pass it back to Jessica.
Thank you so much, Sam. Oh, this was such a pleasure. And thank you to everybody who joined us this morning. We are so grateful for your time, and we will be in touch post-program with some materials. The Community Cats info session that Haley had mentioned, as well as some resources and a brief survey just to get your feedback from today's program. So thank you again, and then a special thank you to Haley, Jules, Sam, and Anna. You are rock stars, and it's always such a pleasure working with you. So thanks for all you do for our cats and kittens and for ARL. And thank you, everybody.